Why does God so often say no to good prayers, and then he gives evil people what they want? In Mark 5, a man asks Jesus, "Let me go with you." He's a good man, he loves Jesus, and he just wants to leave everything and be with Jesus. And Jesus says no. And in the same chapter, Jesus says yes to an evil request from the crowd. And he even grants the request of some demons who ask to be sent into pigs. Why does Jesus say yes to bad prayers and no to a good prayer?
Welcome to the Food for Your Soul podcast, where we apply the Word of God to the hearts of men and women to stoke the fires of your delight in Christ. Here's your host, Dr. D. Richard Ferguson.
First, look at how the community responds to Jesus' mighty mercy, and then we'll see how this man responds. Verse 14, those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. So the hired hands who had been tending all these pigs, now they don't have anything to do. They're out of work. So they say, we'll go tell everybody. And they don't just go tell the owners of the pigs. They have a sense that what happened just now is really, really big. It's something everyone needs to know about. And so they go tearing all through town, across the countryside, like Paul Revere, just running around saying, the demons are gone, the demons are gone. And you wouldn't believe what he did to Crazy Harry. I mean, you got to see that. And I don't know if that's exactly what they said, but whatever they said, it was enough to get all the people to drop whatever they were doing and travel all the way out to this and see what was going on. They had to investigate. Verse 14. The people went out to see what had happened. And so here comes all the people, and they come to the crest of the hillside, and they look down, and they look down into the water, and the whole Sea of Galilee looks like one giant bowl of pig soup. There's all these pigs floating everywhere. Carcasses, 2,000 pig carcasses floating in the water. But that wasn't even the most astonishing part. It doesn't even say anything about that part. What's really blew them away and amazed them was what happened to Crazy Harry, or Larry the Legion, or whatever they called the guy. And the point here is that this demented, deranged, dangerous, demonized madman was now calm, lucid, friendly, well-dressed, sitting there, chatting with Jesus. Not a threat to anybody. And when they see that, they want some more details. They say, tell us. So they asked the eyewitnesses, verse 16. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demonized man and told about the pigs as well. They're mainly talking about the demonized man. They throw in the thing about the pigs, but they got to hear the story about this man. And they tell the whole story. And so now they have the full, and now they know everything that happened. These people in the community. So what are they going to do? How are they going to respond to mighty mercy? Throw a ticker tape parade? I mean, after all, Jesus just solved their worst crime problem. He just delivered them from the biggest problem they had in their entire country, this threat that they had no power to restrain. They could not deal with it. So what do? Do they hoist Jesus up on their shoulders and carry him through town and sing, "For he's a jolly good fellow," and declare a national holiday? Or maybe at least like just a thank you? Or better yet, do they see the transformation of this man and then cry out for salvation of their own souls? Say, do for us what you did for him. Take the evil out of us and save us. Do they plead for that? They do plead with Jesus, but not for that. Look what they plead for. Verse 17. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. Get out. This is mercy rejected. Now you read that, you think, why would anybody reject mercy? Because with Christ's mercy comes Christ. And that's scary. You can't have his mercy without having him. And having him is scary. Look at verse 15. When I say that it was fear, verse 15, when they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been demonized sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. They rejected Jesus because they were afraid. So what are they afraid of? Well, a few things. They just met somebody, first of all, who is orders of magnitude more powerful than the most powerful forces they had ever experienced, these demons. That's scary. That's scary. They don't know this man. This Jesus. He's unpredictable, definitely uncontrollable. I mean, they had their lives arranged around this demonized man, but this person, who knows what he's going to do? But scarier than all that, I think, is this. This man, Jesus, is holy. He's holy. This is a man who manhandles evil. And that's great when it comes to the maniac's evil, but what about my evil? Jesus has that much power, and he's got this zero tolerance policy about evil. What's going to happen when he goes to work on me? Starts tearing into my evil in my heart. Now, I don't know if the people consciously thought this through that way. They might not have even understood why they were so afraid of Jesus. But sinful mankind has an innate sense of fearing the holy because deep down we know we have a serious problem of evil in our hearts. We are shot through with sin. Holiness is like fire, and evil in our hearts is like dry kindling, and you just got to be careful how close you get to the holy when you have sin in your heart. Jesus is a light, and it's great for him to shine his light on that deranged, demonized guy in the tombs over there, but not on my darkness. But you can tell by looking at him that he's not the type that's going to pick and choose where he's going to shine his light. John 3:19, this is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but men loved darkness instead of the light because their deeds were evil. That's our natural condition. You know, people are forever complaining about the existence of evil. People mock God. They say, there can't be any God. God doesn't exist. If there were a God, he wouldn't allow all this evil and these horrible things to happen and blah, blah, blah. And they pontificate about whether God exists, and they're so upset about the existence of evil. And then the Lord comes and provides a solution to the evil in their hearts, and they're like, no thanks. I guess they're not so anti-evil after all. They're just like, please leave, just like these people. People want mercy from God. They want God to help them out in a time of trouble. When I've got physical distress, financial distress, I got this trouble in this relationship. God, help me, please help me. And they want his mercy in those moments. But they don't want any mercy for their spiritual uncleanness. Take me out of this financial pinch, God. Help me out with my health problems. Fix my hard marriage. Take away my temporal troubles. But keep your hands off my heart. Don't go ripping away evil from inside me because that's going to hurt. And so they ask Jesus to leave. Well, how does he respond? What does Jesus say? They say, leave. Does he say, I don't have to leave. I created the whole world. I'll leave when I please. No, listen. Verse 17. The people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. Verse 18. As Jesus is getting into the boat. Well, that was easy. They don't really have to twist his arm, do they? They just began to say, Jesus, would you leave? And he's already climbing into the boat. This is just like the way Jesus responded to the demons begging. Remember, the demons begged, please, let us go to the pigs. Okay, go. And now, and then they end up in the abyss. Now these people say, please leave. And the merciful, mighty Son of God leaves their region. Sometimes the harshest punishment God can give is to answer our prayers. Be careful about holding God at arm's length because you may wake up one day and he's gone. He left. The same Greek word for beg is used 3 times in this passage. First, the demons begged to go into the pigs. Then the people begged for Jesus to leave. Now there's a third begging that's going to happen. Verse 18. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demonized begged to go with him. Finally, somebody begs for something good. Right? Somebody's got a good motive. He's not like the others. They want Jesus to leave. This guy can't be close enough to Jesus. He's like, I got to be with you. I'll leave everything. I'll leave my home, my family, everything I know. I just want to be with you. Let me be a disciple. He doesn't care that Jesus is a Jew. He doesn't care that Jesus is about to go on a boat over to Israel in this strange, different culture, and he's a Gentile. He doesn't care about any of that. He just wants to be with Jesus. Wow, what a wonderful thing to see, right? And what does Jesus say to this guy? The demons begged for what they wanted. Jesus said yes. The people begged for Jesus to leave. Jesus said yes. Now this guy begs for what he wants, to be with Jesus. Verse 19, Jesus did not let him. Jesus finally says no to something. The one guy who's got a good motive for his prayer gets a no. And it's in the continuous tense in the Greek. The guy kept asking, come on, Jesus, come on, let me go, please. Come. And Jesus could not be persuaded. No. No. Why? Why does he say yes to the demons and to the evil people, and then he says no to this good motive? Here's why. Because all three requests were for something that wouldn't be good for them. All three are asking for something that wouldn't be good for them. And Jesus punishes the demons by saying yes. And he punishes those people by saying yes. And he blesses this man by saying no. Never second guess God's yeses and nos. He knows what he's doing. He shows mercy. Saying no to this man was just yet another expression of mercy. Jesus wasn't done showing this guy mercy after delivering him from the demons and giving him clothes and everything else. He's still showing him mercy now. He's saying no to a bad prayer. He's saying no to not an evil prayer, but a prayer that wouldn't have been what was best for him. It was best. It was mercy to make this guy stay. Now, I'm sure it didn't seem like mercy at the time. I mean, you imagine that. He has to stand there on the shore and watch Jesus sail away, and now he's left there alone in this place that had just completely rejected Christ. And Jesus gives him a task, probably the most difficult task known to mankind. Reach an unreached, completely unreached people group where there's not one single believer. And I want you to be a missionary and go and reach that unreached people group. He's known Christ for a matter of hours. He has no help, no training, no church, no Bible, no materials, no financial support. Everyone who knows him hates him. And he's got to reach this community as a missionary. Now, leaving that guy there did not feel like mercy. But here's what we need to understand about Christ's mercy. It doesn't always feel like mercy. It doesn't feel like mercy. But reality and how things feel are two different things a lot of the time, right? Take Christ's mercy as it comes. Take it as he gives it. Don't try to formulate in your mind what mercy needs to be. He decides what's merciful. Never fall into the foolishness of trying to dictate to Jesus what form his mercy needs to take in your life. He's the author of mercy. He knows everything. He decides what's best for you. He decides what's truly merciful. And in leaving this guy, he showed him wonderful mercy by giving him a high calling as a preacher and as a missionary. And at the same time, Jesus was showing mercy to that whole community by leaving them a missionary, right? They thought they got rid of Jesus. They didn't. They didn't. He left a missionary there. Verse 19. An effective missionary. Jesus said, go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. And so the man went away and began to preach in the whole Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. Well, how did the people respond to his preaching? Verse 20. He went away and began to tell in the whole Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. There's that response again. You've seen that again and again in Mark. Everyone's always amazed at Jesus. Everybody is always amazed at Jesus. Does that mean they were saved? No. Nobody ever went to heaven because they were amazed at Jesus. Nobody. Amazement is not the same thing as faith. Amazement raises its eyebrows and then walks away. And that we're going to see in the book of Mark, that is not adequate. Faith bows the knee and obeys. That's what we see in this man. That's what he does. He obeys what Jesus tells him. Jesus says stay, he stays. He says go tell about, he goes and tells. He obeys. Finally, somebody obeys Jesus. So what does the mighty mercy of Christ mean for you? First, never forget who the source of mercy is, Jesus Christ. Sin leads us into a dark, miserable place, and Christ is the solution. Some of you might be in that dark place right now. Maybe you dabbled in evil and you got pulled in and you got pulled under and you're trapped, enslaved by some evil, damaged. Your mind isn't right. You're alienated, alone, isolated, defiled, broken, violated. Satan has taken you quite a distance down the path towards being like this man, towards destruction. If that's you, there's a way out. There's restoration. Jesus Christ has the power to pull you out of that darkness, and he's the only one with that kind of power, and he's the only one with that kind of mercy. He's got the mighty mercy. Don't look to any other source, just to Christ. Just to Christ. Secondly, don't reject his mercy like these people did. Every time we choose to sin, we're choosing a path of misery and we're rejecting mighty mercy. We're choosing to take steps down the path of destruction, away from mercy. Every time we choose to sin, we're being like these people. We're saying to Jesus, get out, please leave. Learn to treasure his mercy. His mercy is scary. It might come in forms you didn't really want. And it will mean Jesus is going to tear into your heart and rip evil out, and that can hurt. And his mercy might come in the form of a really hard calling, a very difficult task. But don't let any of that scare you. Take his mercy as it comes. Take his mercy as it comes. That's number 3. Going Satan's way always leads to restless, chaotic, exhausting life. What Jesus offers is profound rest, even in a difficult calling. And then finally, when you see the glory of Christ, don't just walk away amazed. Bow the knee and obey.
Thank you for listening. If you found today's episode edifying, why not share it with a friend? A simple post on social media can change a person's day. This season, the Food for Your Soul podcast features excerpts from our sermon series on the Gospel of Mark. Over 130 expository sermons covering every verse. You can find those and hundreds of other sermons for free download on drichardferguson.com. Until next time, rejoice in the Lord always and set your mind on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God.